own kids?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, my, we always, if my wife will let me throw up kid pics, then yeah.
no, I think it's great given how busy you are. I mean, I'm serious. Like every week, you're always, I'm assuming you're not just staging it so you can have it posted on Facebook. You're spending real time with your kids. That's great.
Yeah, it's I'm trying to not be one of those politician dads, Phil, that is just there for the photo op and then bounce. Because my wife's she got herself a big job too, and I think a lot of times it ends up falling on the wife to do all that labor, and that is not how we're trying to do it in the Cohen household. All right, so while folks are still coming on, hey, Dr. Gavin, hey, Dr. Zinn, hey, Margaret. We ready to fire this thing up, Franny?
I would say so.
All right. If you could take us live, that would be great.
We are live.
All right. So welcome. Good evening, everyone. Today is October 20th, 2022. My name is Zeke Cohen. I'm the chair of the city's Trauma Informed Care Task Force, and it is great to have you with us here tonight. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded, and tonight we have some good, ample work time within our subcommittees. We are going to have a few quick announcements from me at the beginning. We will go around the horn in small breakout groups. And then we'll get to have some committee time, and then we'll do some report outs just to share some of the progress that we have been making in our groups. Just by way of a couple of quick announcements this evening, there is a conference coming up. It's a group called NOAA. They are focused on the intersection of art and health, and their conference, I believe, is the first week in November. I'm trying to figure that out real quick, but if you're interested, you should come through. Franny, if you don't mind figuring that out, I'm just putting the link in the chat. But I'm keynote speaking the conference, and the intersection between public health and art, I think, is really important. So I'd invite everybody to come check it out. Did also want to quickly share that we had some folks join us from Dorchester County. So that is the Eastern Shore. Always really, really, really good to have some folks come and see the work that's happening here in Baltimore. Was able to take them over the Center for Urban Families, as well as the Penn North branch of Enoch Pratt. They got to see the peer recovery coaches in the library program. And that was great. And so just for folks to know, we are seeking to build solidarity with our neighbors across the state. We have a new governor, soon to be new governor. And while I do not know who will win the election, I will say that one of the, why did we stop the recording? Okay, I will say that one of the candidates, Wes Moore, though this is not a political task force, one candidate did devote an entire section of his policy to trauma-informed care. Several folks on this task force helped to write the Democratic nominee Wes Moore's campaign platform around trauma-informed care. And so it's worth checking that out. And no matter who you vote for, please vote. We have a crisis of democracy, not just in the city, but in this country. And it is critically important that we all show up and vote, especially in these midterm elections. So with that, unless anyone else has announcements for the good of the group, we are going to go into some small breakout rooms. The question for tonight is, since we are sort of coming up on Thanksgiving pretty soon, what is one thing that you are thankful for that has happened since the last time the task force met? So something that you are feeling thankful for. And Franny is gonna bloop us into the little subcommittee groups, and I will see folks on the other side.
So breakout rooms are open. They're not subcommittees. They're just regular breakout rooms. Then we'll come back. If anyone did not get an invitation, please let me know. Hey, Monica. I am going to assign you to breakout room 3. So you should be receiving an invitation to join the room. Hey, Ryan, I'm going to assign you to a breakout room.
Okay.
The question is, what is something you're thankful for that has happened in the past couple weeks? Hey, Odette, I'm going to put you in a breakout room. Welcome back.
All right, welcome back. All right, so anyone want to share out publicly? I actually really like this question. It was Franny's question. I didn't come up with it. But anyone want to share for the good of the task force and our millions of viewers online, one thing that you're feeling particularly thankful for in the last couple of weeks?
I can go. This is Teresa Bruce. I'm really excited while I'm working to build a library program in my school community that my chief academic officer is very supportive and has allowed me to visit different school libraries and maker spaces and really just learn organically. And I really appreciate that.
That is so awesome. I am so glad that one, you're doing that because Kip deserves it. And two, that you got the space to do it right and go check out other folks that are doing the same. And, I feel like when I was a teacher, like so much of it is like, you're just in this grind and opportunities for genuine professional development and thoughtful reflection are few and far between. And so the fact that you've been able to do that, I think is amazing. And I just want to say, really, really, really grateful for your work, Ms. Bruce, in creating the library. And I know it's a job transition, but I think a lot of children at KIPP are going to really benefit from the work that you're doing. So enormous gratitude and thanks for you and for your work.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to share anything you're feeling thankful for? Oh, go ahead, Elijah.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Okay. Almost forgot. This past cycle with Rex and Parks with their programming, they accepted 4 of my programs because they wanted to target our teenagers. So I brought 4 new programs to Rex and Parks. I was in 8 different rec centers this past cycle. So that's been going, it's been going really good. It's been getting a lot of participation from out, the older kids, and looking forward to the next cycle, which starts in November.
That's awesome. Congratulations, man.
Elijah put his contact in because the youth committee actually is doing, and Zeke also, but we're doing work with Rec and Parks, and it sounds like if you got some positive stuff that's already working there, how can we help support those efforts and really expand it? I think there's a positive opportunity.
Hey, that's awesome. I do want to go ahead and shout out us. I was able to go ahead and speak to the board of commissioners. They came to Pimlico Elementary Middle School last night, and I was able to shout out the work that we're doing as the trauma-informed care task force. So let's keep up our momentum and keep on advocating and doing what we can do for Baltimore. But I was able to go ahead and just shout out the work that we're doing as a committee.
No, really, really, really appreciate that, Corey. I heard from one of those commissioners that you were hot and you were on the mic and you were pushing them on mental health and particularly mental health first aid. And he was really grateful that you were doing that. And I think the more we can push each other and institutions like the school board and the city council to be better versions of ourselves, I think that's awesome. And I appreciate you lifting up that work. And I'm very, very confident. I know we'll report out a little bit later, but I feel really good about potentially doing some mental health first aid work at Pimlico, which you've been the undefeated champion on. So keep it up. Phil, I see your hand up.
Yeah. Well, last week we had people coming in from the Cities United is having their national meeting in the city in Baltimore next week for 3 days, and they're in town meeting with folks. And they're going to be coming both to see library project as well as We Are Us. And we had the important part, there's going to be people both from all over the country, but also a lot of federal folks will be in town to not just to see what we need, but also see some of the positive stuff that's going on. And I think a lot of that is connected to the work that people on the task force are doing. That's a little bit of the task force itself, but certainly the work that many people on the Zoom have been doing. There'll be, I think, a real positive opportunity to not just see that there's somebody getting shot in Baltimore, but there really are positive things that are going on. Young people are getting supported, families are getting supported. So I think it's going to be, it was good talking to them because they already were very impressed just by, for the day that they were doing to try to see what was going on and schedule the meetings. But given that they were impressed, I'm sure the other people that are going to coming to town are also going to be very positively impressed.
No, definitely appreciate that, Phil. Thanks for lifting that up. So next Thursday at 3:00, from 3 to 5, Cities United is going to be in the Penn North Library branch. I don't know if Donna's on the call at the moment, but they are going to go check out the Peer Navigator, Peer Recovery Coach program that Donna has been pioneering at Eden Pratt. I think I mentioned last time, we also were able to get a grant from Care First to expand capacity. But that's just been an awesome program. And, I think it is really important to Phil's point that we are lifting up some of the good work that's happening around our city. And I will just say that, I'm here in Pittsburgh at the moment, speaking at a conference, this group called the Neighborhood Resilience Project. And Baltimore has some real buzz right now, nationally, around the work we've been doing on trauma. We are coming up in a lot of conversations, and this is not to pat us on the back too much, because obviously we still have significant challenges, and we still have, issues that are very, very real and very, very hard. But I also do think it's worth acknowledging that, our city is scrappy as all get out. It's resilient as all get out, and it's starting to earn a reputation in this trauma-informed care space as being a real leader and pioneer. And that is largely to the work that folks on this Zoom and in our communities are doing. And so just want to thank everybody for that as well, and to say that it is not going unnoticed. All right, fantastic. Anyone else want to jump out on something you're thankful for? I'll give it 10 more seconds, and then we will keep it moving. All right. Okay, great. So we are now going to jump into some committee time. As a reminder, the action statements that we all created are available in the agenda that Franny so kindly sent out. We're going to go into our groups for about 45-ish. Oh, no, just, about 45-ish minutes. At about 6:35, we're going to come back. And, again, in the spirit of wanting to lift each other up and lift up some of the work, I want to do some report out. So if committee chairs or just a designee, whoever's feeling bold and spicy, wants to share out for 2 minutes just on some of what the subcommittee has been working on, some of the next steps, some of the successes, the challenges. And then if there are any questions, I think it's just good for us to, in the spirit of cross-pollinating, really to hear from each other as well. So we're going to go into our groups. Franny's going to pull us out at around 6:35-ish. And we will keep it moving from there. Sorry. I see in the chat really quick before we go into groups. Dr. Lindsay asked, any updates about the budget? I know everybody worked really diligently in the last committee hearing, and thank you for everybody for getting those in. The good news is that they were approved by MONSE, which is a major, could have been a major hurdle along the way, but they have now been sent to audits. From there, audits will kick them, as long as there is no problem, which we'll see within hopefully the next week. Audits will then send them to the Board of Estimates. The Board of Estimates will then vote. As folks may or may not know, the Board of Estimates is comprised of 5 people. One is the comptroller, one is the city council president, and then 3 are the mayor and the mayor's designees. And so, just being honest, the mayor really controls the Board of Estimates. That's how we're set up structurally here in Baltimore. They have 3 out of the 5 votes. So once it goes to the Board of Estimates, they will then vote. Hopefully they'll vote favorably. I'm not too concerned. By the time it gets there, you're usually good to go unless there's some problem that we didn't think of. And then they'll approve it, and then checks can be cut. So if you are wondering when your subcommittee will have its funds, I think it is conservatively, I would say within the next 6 weeks, but hopefully within the next couple of weeks, as in 3. Do not hold me to that latter number, because I have been known to get it deadly wrong when it comes to the amount of time this whole thing takes. But that is my hope. And we are real glad that we got everything through MONSE and now onto the land of audits. All right. Any other questions? No. Good. Great. Okay. Franny, if you could send us to where we need to go.
Yes. So how I have it set up is you're allowed to choose your breakout rooms. So they're open. You can start choosing them at the bottom. If you are policy, stay in this main room. So if you're in the policy subcommittee, you don't have to go anywhere. If you're in the other subcommittees, go ahead and join them now. I can also assign you. Oh, I see that we're joining groups. That's good. Okay. So put it in the chat or come off mute if you're having issues assigning yourself.
Where will the best place for me to pop in be?
Medical.
Okay.
So how do you assign yourself?
It's at the very bottom of your screen. It'll say breakout rooms and you can choose. Got it?
Got it. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Anyone else in here?
Hey, Franny.
Hey. Oh,
Franny, can you send me to training?
Mhm.
Appreciate you. Oh, wait, no, I can do it myself.
that's okay. I sent you. So you should be getting an invite. Okay. All right, anyone left in here Oh, sorry. Yep. I'm seeing my private chats now. Anyone in here not in the policy subcommittee and wants to be somewhere else?
Yeah, I don't see anything that says breakout room at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, okay. What subcommittee should I put you in?
The youth,
Great. Sorry about that.
no
So you
problem.
should get an invite.
I had,
Okay. Anyone else? And then I'll get going. Oh, is this Anne?
Hey, Franny. Yeah,
Hey.
it's Anne.
Hi, everyone. My name is Meg.
Oh. Anne, do you want to be in decolonizing? I'm gonna put her there. Hey, Dr. Nichols. I think I put you in the medical subcommittee.
Yeah, can you add me to
Yeah,
medical,
we got
please?
you
Thank you.
introduced since Tanya's new as well and will be joining us. And then when she gets connected, she can introduce herself. But you guys want to just introduce yourselves too?
Hello, everybody. It's Nika Namdi. How's everybody doing this evening?
Good. How are you doing, Nika?
Hey, making it work.
Hi, everyone. This is Desiree.
Hi, it's Kimberly with the Baltimore City Health Department. And guys, unfortunately, I have to drop off shortly.
No worries. Hey everyone, it's Fariha. I'm not feeling too well, so I'm gonna be off camera for the meeting.
Hi, it's Councilwoman Ramos. I too need to leave a little early. I just wanted to also start us off by saying that Director Moore will definitely be with us next meeting. We have confirmed her, so just FYI, we can work today while we're here to present, to be ready for that. So just wanted to let you know about that.
All right, it looks like, did Margaret say hey?
Hi, sorry, no, I did not. This is Margaret. I'm the staffer. Thank you for letting us know that, Councilwoman Ramos.
And SC Zen?
Dr. Zen, did you want to be in medical? Maybe he's not here at the moment.
I think he is in the medical group though.
I'll text Franny and see if he can get reassigned. I'm not currently a host, but she should be able to move him.
Gotcha. All right. Since we are not having Director Moore today, our plan, let me see, what were our marching orders? One, we need to figure out what we're going to report out as accomplishments for the committee thus far. I'm typing in the chat, y'all, that's all. So I'm wondering if we could spend like 5 minutes just kind of getting those accomplishments together so we can report out.
Well, I think the BCRI funding was certainly an accomplishment, and continuing our work with BCRI is going to be essential because there still needs to be a non-police response when somebody's having a health crisis. Right now, you call 988 or you call the BCRI and they're still not up to capacity. So if it's depending on the type of crisis it is, they're going to send police. I was so mad. So there's still, some work to be done there. but definitely we've made a good first step, I think.
Dr. Nichols, are you able to press the breakout room button at the bottom and assign yourself to the medical? Okay, looks like, Franny, can you assign Dr. Nichols to the medical group?
Yes.
And I believe SC's in too.
Yeah, so I sent both of those invitations,
Okay,
but I can try to send them again. What it might do is I'm gonna have to change their assignment. So it'll be like, oh, they're going into training, and then I'll reassign to medical.
gotcha. Okay.
Could you make me a co-host, Franny, so we don't have to keep calling you back? Thank you.
So BCRI funding, what about your study and report bills, councilperson?
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why we wanted to invite Director Moore to our meeting, is to go over the study and report. I did meet with her, and she was interested in not just looking at, historically, racial policies, but also wanted to start thinking about approaches to solutions. And that was really what she was going to be talking with us about before we move forward with the study and report the way we have it written. But it's written and ready. But she wanted to discuss with us, and she's willing to do it. She's really interested in figuring out with us the best approach to starting to get to solutions. Because she's struggling with this internally with agencies, right? Nika, you and I've talked about this, where the city is still on this thing about building from strength, and really that's not where we should be. and how we, work with her and really push the issue around equitable development. So that's what she wanted to talk with us about before we move forward.
Okay. So we can't yet say that's an accomplishment, but we can.
We could just say that we're still working through the process.
Okay. Oh, I don't have to type. Good. Thank you. I'm assuming that is, who was that typing? Fariha, that's not you typing, is it?
That's me.
No, it's Margaret, our amazing.
Oh, okay. I was getting ready to say, you just said you didn't feel good. Okay. All right. So the study and reports, we can talk about the fact that for the housing and community development kind of disparity piece, that we're going to have Director Moore come in and talk about solutions. We could also highlight our plan to use our funding for technical assistance money to community organizations and coalitions that are for the listening sessions.
Yes, I think we should definitely report that, and I think that's going to be a great, because the listening sessions, remember, were one of our first things that we thought of when we were doing the priorities.
Right.
And it actually dovetails with your work that you're doing with CDN anyway. So I'm excited about that.
That is true. Oh, am I moving that? Margaret, am I messing you up with typing because I'm moving in document?
I don't see it moving at all. Am I messing you up?
Good. Nope.
Okay, fabulous.
I was trying to go back and see if, I don't think our priority, that's a separate document. Okay, I'm gonna go find it. Okay.
I want to say it was at the very bottom of this document. If you click on the last link under outline,
Got it.
it's on page 26, I think.
I got it.
Perfect.
I'm just looking at our action statement, goal 1, to create policies that undo the impact of disinvestment in housing, community and economic development. Goal policies. That's the BCRI. That's goal 2. Okay. All right. Okay. So beyond outlining our accomplishments, I missed part of Councilperson Cohen's directions about what else we were supposed to be doing in our committees. Because I think we got a good report out. We had 3 solid points to report out. Is there anything else I'm missing?
I mean, I think we can talk a little bit about some of the other things that we'd like to work on as like a reminder.
Okay. Is there anything particular? I'm scrolling through that you think we should highlight.
Yeah, we haven't talked about some of the other policy stuff that's in the that's in there that we would need to work with Delegate Boyce on in terms of the state legislation, like the cannabis. There's a cannabis thing there.
The bottom. Okay.
And a couple.
The recreational marijuana and consensual adult sex work decriminalization, creation of consumption sites. So what I can do to make it easier, not easier, to make it more succinct, I can kind of do a brief overview, like a reminder to everyone of what our action statement was and what our basic goals were. And then I can highlight under those goals, the work that we have kind of done, any work that we've kind of done toward that goal. So for example, goal 1, the housing policies, we could talk about how we have Director Moore confirmed for the next meeting to talk about, to not just talk about the study and report, but to try to design have a framework for designing solutions, as an example.
Yeah, isn't inconsistent with what we wanted. She would like to take to another level, which I don't think is a bad thing.
Right. No, not at all. I think being solution focused is always where we should start.
Yeah, definitely agree too. We only have, I think, 2 minutes to report out, so we should be mindful of that.
Got you. I think I could squeeze it out in 2 minutes. Maybe I won't go through all of the goals, but I'll just highlight the goals that we have made work toward. Let's see. This was so meaty. Now that I'm reading back through it, we've kind of been focused on the BCRI stuff and the study and report stuff, and there's so many other things that we wanted to kind of get to. All right, is there anything else?
Do we need to prepare at all for the meeting with Director Moore?
That's a good question. Councilperson Ramos, is there anything that Director Moore is kind of expecting from us? Expecting this?
No, I think it's a good idea to just talk through that real quick. I think that what we want to do is, you know, first kind of go over what our initial thinking was and why, you know, justifying why we wanted to do it this way. And then, well, first we I think we'll need to do a little bit of an introduction. I did that, but just a little introduction about the policy committee, trauma informed, you know, what we're doing. And that way she's got context, and then go through what we were envisioning with the bill and why this was important. And I think, Nika, when we talked about this initially, it was really around, you know, we had just, you and I had just met with Dr. Brown, and
Brown.
we had just been going through a lot of the land bank stuff. So my thought was, you know, we can sort of give her that context, and then kind of get, you know, her sense of, you know, what are some other, what, you know, how she'd like to approach it. Since it would be her office doing because we were asking her office to do the study.
That makes sense to me, and it's actually just having had some follow-up conversations with Dr. Brown. I think it confirmed that starting with housing and community development is, as the agency, you know, as the agency or as the set of policies to look at, is the right move, because everything else kind of stems from housing and community development.
There's no question about that. There's no question about that. And we know that, you know, our investment policies have had everything to do with where we are now. We still take this racist approach of building from strength. I mean, I just got in a huge argument with somebody at the Mako thing yesterday about it. And so we want to be able to have her help us frame the right approach to equitable development. And she wants us to help her do that as well. And I think this is a real opportunity.
Right. Yeah, I think the other piece of it is like really having, I think we have a kind of firm, like a, I don't want to say firm because it's flexible, but we have a clear argument, like a clear argument. It's like, or not argument, we're looking for, you know, disparities of all of these types. And, you know, my only concern is like, what are we not? There are things that we know, but in looking for sufficient evidence of the things that we know, what don't we know? Like, what might we be missing? And I'm hoping maybe that she might have some ideas on how to make sure that we capture things that we just might have missed. That could be still in housing and community development, but it's just something that doesn't it doesn't show up on the surface level, and it may not bubble up from the underground very often or often enough for us to even notice.
Well, there's also some subtleties as you're seeing that have been happening as well. It's so subtle,
right?
How people are talking about the work, how people are thinking about the work, and it's just sometimes we just got to bring that out, you know. Like this whole thing with the MV Realty thing,
right?
Like, I mean, come on, right? And so how we you know, so I think that she can help, you know, with that as well, because that's really part of her charge. So I'm excited about this opportunity, and I hugely apologize to all of you that it's taken so long for us to get her here. It's you know, it's just been really crazy for the both of us. So but I do think it's going to be a good conversation.
Yeah. These things, unfortunately, they, you know, to the insidious level of stuff, it's almost like we're playing whack-a-mole.
I mean, it's still, I mean, here we are working on solving tax sale. We're almost there and then something else comes up, right? Then-
Right.
So now we're dealing with wholesaling and then this other thing comes up and then it's like,
Right.
it's crazy.
Delegate Boyce. Oh, you know, before I try to move us on, is there anything else that anyone thinks that we should be bringing up or taking a look at before the next meeting when we are going to hear from and be in dialogue with Director Moore?
Rex and Parks.
Did I hear something about Rex and Parks?
I'm sorry, you saying, I'm sorry, I actually went to City Hall. I'm such a, I guess I wanted to be excited to see you all. No, I know, no, I don't have anything else other than, just hoping that we can be open in this discussion. I think so many people have so many different ideas about what's right about housing. So taking it all in and listening to it all and hearing it.
All right, anybody else have anything else? Okay, so I wanted to ask Delegate Boyce, in terms of the marijuana use decriminalization or any of those other kind of state level safe use consumption sites, adult consensual sex work, is there any, I guess is goal, just to make it easy for note taking, goal number four, goal number 4. Is there anything that you that we should be kind of looking at this point so we can start to get our bearings in doing the work of meeting those goals, or bringing some of the things that we have outlined under those goals into fruition, or into at least to start having more conversation about them in the committee?
That's a great question. Thanks so much. So given that cannabis is on the ballot and that there's something in your bill to follow it, I'd like to see that into fruition before we jump in. So I think the thing that we can talk about, of course, is the decriminalization of sex work. And I know construction sites has come up before. It's been a touchy subject, but those are,
there's a little background. Okay.
There is. I'm sorry. I went to City Hall, so I ran to the closest place that I could sit down without going home, and I'm at our house, so it is. And I'm so sorry.
No worries. It's all good.
I'm so embarrassed. So I think those are 2 areas that we can start looking at stuff for. Again, because I want to see how cannabis plays out, especially with that companion bill about different commissions, and of course about the automatic expungement. So, the question is at the end of that, when that comes into play, July 1st, 2023, you're going to have a year. The question would be, this committee, this group, looking at that and finding out where the holes are, advocating. I think we could put some work into, of course, the consumption sites, as well as sex work, and looking at, again, what are the studies out there? Is there something that we could just toss out there, just to be, just to kind of see the reaction back? Because I think we always talk about making things legal. We don't necessarily need to make it legal, we just need to make it we need to just decriminalize. So again, sex work is a huge one, given all of the things that fall behind it, right? Like the late night, the violence against women and trans women, of course, sexually transmitted infections because of the way that sex work has to be performed per se. It's in, you know, dark places, secret places, not in places that are deemed acceptable for one to, you know, have sex in a safe place.
The bill that you mentioned, do you know what the name of the bill is? I just want to see if I can put it in the chat.
Oh, the companion bill for
The companion bill, yeah.
Yeah, I believe it's HB 837.
Okay.
Because HB1 was the actual referendum. It's HB1 and HB 837.
Okay, the cannabis reform. All right. All right. I'm putting it in the chat. Okay.
And I think Margaret mentioned that she's done some research around literature review showing that decriminalization is associated with lower HIV rates. And so that's a start. Like, where do we pull a lot of that information from?
Okay, Margaret, could you tell us what you found?
Speak to that.
Sure. So this was just a class project last year, so potentially very useless, but we had to do a kind of systematic-ish literature review, and my topic was decriminalization of sex work and HIV, and it was very consistent that decriminalization was reducing HIV rates. I can send that to the group. It's probably not very fantastically written, but if that's helpful at all, I can send it.
Yeah, I think it would be, yeah, I think it would be helpful. And because I'm sure that you all have your sources cited, and then we can kind of dig into that over time.
And I want to say, actually, there was another review that I found when I was looking at that. So I will see if I can find that other review as well. That's probably better. I can dump that in the chat just a moment. Oh, thank you, Delegate Boyce.
Yeah, Margaret, I look forward to reading what you wrote. And thank you so much for sharing your expertise and research with us.
I have no expertise, but thank you.
I'm trying to think, is there anything else?
So the thing that I can do from my resource base is our Maryland Assembly Library, our research folks, to look up to see what legislation has been proposed in the past regarding sex decriminalization of sex work, as well as consumption sites, and then bring that to the group, and then we can dig in from there. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that would be helpful.
And they're really good at, I can get research from elsewhere if I decide I want to know who, has consumption sites or where have they decriminalized, whether it's in this country or not, sex work. So I can see if I can just get the gambit of stuff.
Gotcha. Makes sense. All right. I think we're good. On what we're gonna present and kind of steps forward for goal number 4. Is there anything anybody else wants to bring to the floor?
So I know that Delegate Boyce is getting legislation together for the future meetings, or sorry, legislation from other settings to talk about. Is there anything else we should be looking at with that, like any research on other settings or anything like that that would be helpful?
Yeah, I'm happy to, if there's other things that people want me to get the research library to look into, I'm happy to do that as well.
And I can also look for anything. I don't have access to like research libraries, but if that's helpful, I can look on databases.
I think it would just be helpful for us to have some context about like what safe use sites look like other places and what sex work looks like other places. And it doesn't have to be scholarly, but just so that we can have a general idea, you know, of what the look and feel and the impact is to people, right, and to communities when sex work has been made legal, when marijuana has been decriminalized, or legalized, recreationally legalized, or when, you know, other drugs have been decriminalized. I think it would be kind of informative. Oh, well, let's see, how much more time, when do we get snatched back?
I think about 6:30.
Oh, okay. Or we don't get snatched back.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
We don't get snatched back.
There's a thing right here. It says, how do housing systems work? It says if they're largely controlled by the mayor, the city council president, what specific oversight mechanisms can we address? We may also have to address or add into that is that a lot of it is also controlled by local, state, and federal laws as it relates to housing. You may want to put that in. It's not just those systems work based on that legislation or those laws.
Okay. Let's see. Oh. Let's see. All right, I think we got a good start. Good path forward. Margaret put, when Baltimore City stopped prosecuting sex work and drug possession, over 99% of the people whose arrests were averted were never rearrested. Interesting.
I'm finding that paper now.
Meaning that basically they weren't rearrested for something. Basically, they weren't rearrested for something. They weren't arrested for anything else.
No, so I think there were like 5 people over the course of the year who then later did something else and got arrested, but almost nobody was. Almost everyone was just fine living their lives.
And I think it's interesting with sex work is that the sex worker is criminalized more than the person participating to receive the work, right? So I think that's interesting as well.
Meaning, because
meaning Mr. Dear John, right? Like, so
yeah, right.
The city used to do, the police department used to do Dear John letters when they would see cars at a certain time, picking up folks. Those letters would go home like, hey, we noticed that your car was in this place at this time with a high volume of, you know, sex work. And so kind of put those people on blast not to make sure they do that again. But those people, I see more often than not are not necessarily criminalized in the same way as those providing the service.
Got you. Okay, so they instead of, it's not like the sex workers themselves were getting a letter like, hey, you know this is illegal and you could be arrested. You might want to chill. Just one side of the equation, the purchasing side was
They were getting a
grace.
warning. They were getting warnings, right? They were getting
Exactly.
warnings that we've seen you and you could be in trouble. But the sex workers tend to be the ones who were, hauled away per se. Again,
Yeah, and it's interesting because in a way, one could make an argument given the fact that the vast majority of, I shouldn't say the vast majority, but a majority, I believe, of sex workers are women, and by some default, many of, or the majority of purchasers are men, and there's a gender-based discrimination there, even though we know that they are men sex workers, and we know that there are women who purchase sex.
Right.
No harm, no foul, no shame. I don't care either way, obviously, but that if we look at the general numbers, that in a way is a gender-based prosecution. Just like I was
right, against women and trans women. Yep.
Against women and trans women. And it's a little bit, in a way, it's an alignment with something I was reading about how when domestic violence victims kill their spouses, when women kill their spouses or their lovers, they actually get way more time than when the reverse happens.
Yep.
When there's no domestic violence, typically present when men are killing their domestic partners.
Yep.
So it's just interesting how gender identity and sexuality plays a role in who's getting prosecuted and who's getting warned.
Yep. We should also see if that public health website has anything else on it that can lend to our work.
Okay.
Which public health website?
The Johns Hopkins Public Health website that you pulled the prosecutorial policy evaluation.
Oh yeah, let's see.
I could actually, let's see. Oh, see if I can pull it up. We can look at it right. Can you all see that?
Yep.
Yep.
No observed threat to public safety, no increase in public complaints. Let's look at the highlights.
I feel a pulling. I feel like we're about to get snatched back out of this.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll definitely take a look at it, and now that it's in the notes, we all can kind of take a look at it.
Hey, good people. You are not going to get snatched out, but we have all jumped back in. Great to see everybody again. Thanks for taking the time. I wanted to make sure we got some time for some report out among the subcommittees. I really want to make sure that we are, to the extent that we can, really cross-pollinating and supporting each other. So my hope is that each group could present for a minute or two just about what you've been up to, any wins, any challenges, And then potentially a little bit of time for questions, but also next steps. I will also say that the decolonizing group has decided to meet on a different day of the week. They were having some challenges just in terms of like getting everybody together in the same space. So they are not with us currently. They're meeting, I want to say on, I think, Tuesdays now. But they are very much here in spirit. And at the next task force meeting, we can get a report out from them. So with no further delay, why don't we go ahead and start with the training group? If you all have a rep or two that would want to share out what you've been working on, any wins, and next steps.
Hey, this Corey. I'll go. We have some great wins. It appears that we're full go on getting ready to move into Pimlico Elementary Middle School at for youth mental health first aid, and we're also in talks to see if we can go ahead and get it in more schools through the Baltimore Curriculum Project. That's what Pimlico Elementary Middle School Charter School is under. So great wins. We did it, y'all. Yeah. So we're gonna keep on championing and keep on lifting and keep on moving that spirit, because in time we want this in all Baltimore City public schools, because our young people are dealing with trauma. And what's better than having everybody trained to go ahead and make sure they service our young people. All right.
Awesome. Big ups to the training subcommittee. We'll also mention that, don't know if folks are aware, but the training subcommittee wrote the request for proposals, request for applications for the community-based trauma trainings. And they completed that. And I do believe the committee that was going to determine who's going to get awarded has made those determinations. I'll have a fuller update on that next time, but also a big win for the training subcommittee in that they wrote that RFA, and we will soon have a group that will be able to develop trainings, not just for city government, but for community, which I think is incredibly important. So huge thanks and major congrats to the training subcommittee. Any questions while we got them? All right, great. I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic to the medical group.
Hey everyone, so we've primarily been working toward our first goal of being able to connect with both medical institutions and community organizations and members to just assess what is happening in terms of trauma-informed care within our medical institutions. So we've been setting up parallel meetings with major organizations in the area, starting off first. So Hopkins, University of Maryland, Mount Washington. So far we've met with Mount Washington and had a really great conversation with them in terms of what current gaps are and what their thoughts are in terms of what needs to happen moving forward. And then at the same time, we're doing beginning to start parallel community kind of like focus group listening sessions, so we can understand from the community what their experiences and needs are and really have their voice drive this conversation and drive what needs to change. And to that end, we are getting ready to reach out to all of you, because of course, all of you beautiful task members are affiliated with so many different amazing organizations in Baltimore City. And we'd love to, if you all are willing, and if the people in your organizations that you're affiliated with it are willing, the community groups that you are a part of, we would like to start with this group and to solicit what your experiences and opinions are. We have like an anonymous survey, and then we're also going to be doing in-person focus groups listening sessions. So we'll have a couple different options depending on what people feel comfortable doing to share their opinions. But just keep a lookout on your emails or phones. We will be reaching out soon to all of you. So we just wanted to give that heads up that if you are willing, we'd love to kind of tap into the groups that you all are part of and start there.
Awesome. Love it. Love seeing the progress, and really want to lift up the importance both of conversations with medical institutions and holding large medical institutions accountable, and just the amount of, frankly, power that they hold in our city. And then also that you all are facilitating these conversations and surveys with community. And we've talked a lot about the need for cultural humility and making sure that we are not being extractive or predatory with people's data, but that it really goes toward change, that it's a transparent process, that we compensate folks for their participation. But again, really want to thank the medical subcommittee for some really good work that they're doing. Any questions for this group? All right, great. Moving right along, we have the policy subcommittee.
Sorry, guys, I was muted. So we're going to start with our accomplishment. I think our big accomplishment thus far, I think we all agree, is helping to secure the funding for BCRI to expand trauma-informed crisis response in Baltimore. And we want to continue to build on that, because we know that is extremely important. We also have Director Moore will be with us from the Office of Civil Rights next meeting to really help us build on one of our next goals, an action that we've been working on, which is Councilperson Ramos's study and report bill surrounding disparities in housing and community development in terms of like racist and intersectional issues in housing and community development policy. And we definitely look forward to hearing from Director Moore, but also sharing what our ideas are in terms of designing the study, but also in kind of not baking in the solutions, but designing the study with solutions in mind. And then we're also moving forward with hand in hand with Delegate Boyce to really start addressing or taking a deep dive into addressing safe use consumption sites, as well as adult consensual sex work decriminalization or legalization, as well as looking at equity and justice in terms of the decriminalization of recreational marijuana, which is on the ballot at the state level. So that's kind of what we've been up to. What we have planned in terms of our budget is to provide technical assistance to organizations that are going to be doing like community-based listening sessions about the experiences, folks' lived experience, or their experience trying to deal with trauma in Baltimore. I can't see you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nika. Thank you for the leadership on getting that money for BCRI, and really, really excited about some of the work we're doing on that study and report bill that Councilmember Ramos has. And, look, I will just say that we know policy is what got us here. And policy is a big part of what will get us out of being a highly segregated and deeply traumatized city. And so it is important. It is baked and embedded in the DNA of our city. And as of course people know, Baltimore was the first city in the country to have legislated residential segregation into city code. It is, we are unfortunately, when we think about redlining, when we think about racial housing covenants, so many different policies that help to shape our deeply inequitable city. So it is absolutely critical that we use a scalpel and remove all of those, acknowledge and then remove and repair all that has been done. So appreciate you all and the focus. Last, but definitely not least, we've got our youth committee, unless there are any questions for the policy subcommittee.
I think
All
Phil,
right.
Phil's trying to talk, but he's on mute.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so the monthly commission on the statewide commission on trauma met today. Some of the people might also been on the Zoom meeting. But I think there's a number of things that we've done, because we got started a little bit before they did. But they're now gearing up with a new governor coming in to make their report around priorities. And so I think linking in with some of their work groups and things could be very helpful, just based on some of the positive things we've accomplished, as well as being some place for implementation. If they're coming up with things, they can more rapidly implement some of these things in Baltimore, because our task forces and with good collaborations with Baltimore City. We're not opposed to folks. We really have established some really nice collaborations. But I think as they're going to be talking with the new governor and figuring out where even they're going to be aligned within the governor's office, because there's likely to be some reorganization of the governor's office. I think some of the people here, if they're involved, or even figure out how to make the connections, because I just think there's a lot of, again, not because we're better, but just because we started a little earlier, could really help the state move, really jumpstart what they're trying to do. Because as Zeke said, the person we think is going to be the new governor is very supportive of becoming more trauma informed, more healing as a state. And I think there's some more specifics though that people on this, on our task force might be able to relate to their group in terms of things that are not hypothetical, but could really get done literally, during the next fiscal year of the state.
Yeah, it's a great point, Phil. And I think yes, connecting with the statewide task force, which, by the way, that legislation was modeled largely off of what we were doing here in Baltimore. It was co-sponsored by Delegate Robin Lewis in the House, and Senator Jill Carter, two Baltimore electeds. And took us about 2 years to get that thing done, but we did. And so I think, yes, connecting with them, and you jogged my thinking on this, Phil, but we should also, while I do not want to assume one candidate will prevail over another, I think it would be worth connecting with the Moore Miller campaign, as well as, we can invite Dan Cox and Ms. Schifanella to share their thoughts as well. But I think it's a good idea to try to get in front of them now. I know that Wes Moore is a big fan and supporter of our work. And I do think that his administration is going to be, if he wins, is going to be uniquely poised to support a trauma-informed approach to governance across the state. So good reminder, Phil, I will reach out to them.
And also, although their commission was appointed, the work groups are open. So people could be involved in the work groups, which are actually doing the real work in terms of what the specifics are. So I think, again, there's just some opportunities for either people on our task force or people that we know to get involved, because that's one of the things they sort of asked for. And there's actually even some co-chairs that are spots that are open that they talked about today, trying to find people that could take on real leadership roles in some of the areas. And I know we have great people on our both on a task force, but also as a public meeting. So people that are just viewing this might be interested.
Good call. All right, great. On that note, last but certainly not least, we got the youth committee.
Yo, all right. So we've been updating or following up on some of the work around the rec centers, and that conversation, essentially the rec centers had identified 14 centers that they'll have more information on as far as like vendors and furniture for site visits in November. And so in the meantime, while we're preparing for that update, we've been considering other spaces that around this topic, around healing centers, and thinking essentially kind of seeing like an overlap between a few of our other four goals, or our four goals. So really like thinking about how we're putting the resources for like youth homelessness and youth employment in those rec centers, and trying to work on building more overlap and momentum in that particular goal. So we're preparing for that upcoming meeting in like November time. We're aiming to host a few more youth focus groups because we've had some participation in regards to that. So those are some of our successes, that we've had some youth focus groups already, and also shout out to Elijah doing some great works in the Recs and Parks as well. And so we were able to kind of reflect with him and get some pros and cons about his experience, and consider some other folks in that space to bring out into the conversations, following up with teachers to consider any good programs that are happening in the schools, as well as any other program coordinators to invite in the space that may have had difficulty getting into the rec centers or any other community spaces and just need a space for programming. And our challenges seem to be reaching out to young people, like getting the word out about the different programs in the rec centers, because there are a lot of great programs in these different spaces, but some of them are in particularly well-resourced neighborhoods or downtown and out of reach. So getting the word out about those spaces to young people, as well as essentially getting the word out about the spaces that do have good programming, and finding support for those programmers, and investing as well in this kind of ties into the furniture and the site visit, like investing in like the redevelopment for the rec center spaces.
Awesome. Thank you, Ladell. Appreciate your leadership on this. For folks that don't know, Recreation and Park is going to be the next agency to get trained in trauma-informed care. And so we think it's a really auspicious timing for this subcommittee to be working with them on building out some healing centers and really trying to support our young people. I know that in some of the conversations we've had with young people, they will say sometimes they don't always feel safe or welcomed in all the rec centers. And that is something that we are seeking to change. And I think this could be an incredible model. We heard from some folks in Cleveland where they've really invested in trauma-informed rec centers. But again, really appreciate the work of the youth subcommittee. Thank you for what you're doing. With that,
we also wanted to link in with the work that Corey talked about, that it's clear that the school board is interested in trauma. So we want to get a meeting with people from city schools, given that the board did a site visit. Corey, they were very positively impressed with what Corey talked to them about. We think it's really opportunistic now, given that that's something the boards are talking about. We know the staff also are interested in the youth. So we want to set up a meeting with the relevant people to just have a discussion about how this task force can be supportive of those efforts to expand city schools being more healing and trauma informed.
And I also want to say that I know Ladell mentioned the challenge, and that's getting the information out, the good information out that's much needed. Maybe a school tour is needed to make sure, because every school got a front office, right? And the front office always, hangs out what's going on in the community, and the great work of the recreation centers, the area local recreation centers. If that's posted, in the office, the young people can see it, and the parents can see it. And that's how we start our after school program. That's how it's kind of booming. So just making sure that we post it in the office, do a school tour, y'all. It'll be popping. It'll be good.
Thanks for that, Corey. It's a great idea.
I love that. All right. So with that, appreciate everybody taking the time being with us this evening. Look forward to getting back together. We will hopefully have an update on budgets and when you can expect the funding to come through. But like I said, we're in a good place where it made it through MONSE. All the budget requests made it through MONSE. We're now at audits, then the Board of Estimates. We are pushing full steam ahead. And so again, thank you to everybody. Appreciate y'all for being here this evening and for all the work you're doing. And with that, I say good night.
Good night, Z. Good night, y'all.
Good night.